time is running out to strike a deal on the debt ceiling. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen sounding an alarm that the U.S. may hit a catastrophic default as soon as June 1st, which is earlier than expected. House Republicans are demanding steep spending cuts to popular federal programs in exchange for raising the borrowing limit. And President Biden is accusing the GOP of holding the economy hostage. But he's saying he won't negotiate on an economic matter as critical as paying the nation's debt off. White House correspondent Allison Harris joins us now. Doesn't it seem like they're both holding each other hostage? I mean, in this tug of war between the Republicans and the Democrats?
There certainly still is a standoff, Adrienne. President Biden and Speaker McCarthy now have less than 30 days to come together and cut a deal. And that's because Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen now says the drop-dead date to raise the debt ceiling is June 1st. Now, there are only a dozen legislative days between now and then. Those are days that both the House and the Senate are in session. It's really ramping up pressure on the president now that House Republicans have voted to pass their plan to raise the debt limit. The president calling House Speaker Kevin McCarthy Monday to set up a meeting for May 9th. President Biden and Speaker McCarthy will meet with the other leaders of the Big Four. That's Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, and Mitch McConnell. A White House official tells us that the president will stress that Congress must take action to avoid default without conditions. The official saying that they will discuss the urgency of preventing default as well as how to initiate a separate process to address the budget and fiscal year 2024 appropriations. So President Biden's still standing his ground there to not negotiate spending cuts that Republicans want around raising the debt ceiling. Now, McCarthy, meanwhile, is issuing a statement stating President Biden has refused to do his job, threatening to bumble our nation into its first ever default, and the clock is ticking. After 3 months of the Biden administration's inaction, the House acted, and there is a bill sitting in the Senate as we speak that would put the risk of default to rest. McCarthy there punting it to Democrats in control in the Senate as well as the president. Now, back in January, at the very beginning of this year, Yellen anticipated the date would be June 5th that the U.S. would default. Weak tax collections are driving up this deadline to June 1st as the country is running out of money to pay its bills. Adrienne?
All right, Allison, thank you very much. We know lawmakers don't want the U.S. to default. Nobody wants the U.S. to default. But
no.
If it does happen, I guess we have to look at what the worst case scenario would be for everyday Americans.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do have some insight into that. The implications would be brutal and very much wide-ranging. A think tank predicts that the U.S. could lose 3 million jobs, undoing 9 months of employment growth. The typical worker near retirement with 401k savings could lose about $20,000. The average new 30-year mortgage would cost an extra $130,000. Inflation would go up, and it would be harder to borrow money for just about any kind of loan. Now, some economists even say that this would be worse than the 2008 financial crisis. So those are just some insights into what could possibly happen, the kind of catastrophic ramifications that we could see. And remember that back in 2011, the S&P downgraded the credit rating of the United States because it came just so close to defaulting. If that did happen again, it could result in an increase in interest rates to finance U.S. debt.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.